I just wanted to make this video. It's with Liam right here. And I wanted to make this video to show you kind of a more difficult dog to get to sit. So Liam, he's very anxious, he's very high energy, very anxiety. He just has a lot of energy, and he's been having a hard time with duration commands. So that's where you tell them to sit until you give them a release word. He'll sit, he's very intelligent, very quick to learn things, but that duration, it's kind of like a teacher having a kid sit in their seat and they don't want to sit in their seat. That's Liam right here. So I'm gonna show you, in case some of you guys are struggling with that with your dogs. Maybe you have a high anxiety, high energetic dog. This is kind of a little bit of how, once you've taught them to sit, how to reinforce the duration. Okay? So right now I'm just moving his prong collar higher up on his neck. Sit.
Alright, so you can see what I'm doing here is I'm just putting pressure upwards. So to get your dog to sit, first of all, you want to put pressure upwards with the e-collar, and then as soon as they sit, you release that pressure. So it's a yes and then a no. And then if he gets back up, I do another no, which is a leash pressure upwards. So if you see right there, I told the dog to break or to get up. So it's pressure up, and then as soon as they sit, pressure down, just like that. And then if they break the command, so if they get back up, then it's pressure up again, or it's a little bit of a leash pop. So with this dog, I wanted to show this dog particularly because he is very antsy. So he likes to move around. He doesn't really want to do that duration work. He's a very high energy dog. So a lot of your dogs might be this way, which is why you need to incrementally increase the distractions, duration, and distance. So those are the 3 Ds. So if you see there, I'm incrementally increasing the distance that I am from the dog. So at the beginning, I was very close to the dog, just like I am right now. But I was standing still, and I expected him to stay still. Now I'm moving around him, which is a greater distraction. So I'm increasing those distractions. So I'm working on each of those 3 Ds at different times. So right there I was working on distance. I got farther away from the dog, right? So you want to work on those separately before you work on them together. So you can do distractions where you're walking around the dog, close to the dog. See, and right now I'm in front of the dog and I'm walking backwards. So that's increasing distance. So duration, so that means the time that they're going to sit, distance, and distraction. So me walking around him like this is a distraction, but if you'll notice, I'm actually really close to the dog. So I'm not increasing 2 of the Ds at the same time. So I'm not increasing distance and distraction at the same time. I'm just increasing distraction. And then slowly, we'll actually add both distance and distraction. So eventually, so right now I'm doing distance, and now I'm doing distance and distraction as I walk around the dog. Obviously that was too much for him. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a leash pop. If I gave him a little bit more of a leash pop, a little bit harder of a leash pop, he might actually do better. So that's just a note on what you can do to help your dog even more. But because I was so far away, it was a little bit difficult to do a correct leash pop. So right there I told him to break, so that was his release command. The release command is very important, especially since we're not telling the dog to stay. So a lot of people tell the dog to stay, but we actually just want him to stay automatically. So if you look there, I was actually backing up away from the dog, and that's a very intense distraction. So if you stand in front of your dog and hunch down and back away slowly, the dog will want to come towards you. So we're trying to make the dog mess up every now and then, right? See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to hunch down and back up. And I might increase it here in a minute and actually pet the dog and hunch down and back up. So you might not even know, but petting the dog can actually be a really big distraction. It can also be a reward, but it can be a distraction. So you can use it in multiple ways. So right now I'm using it as a reward for him sitting. But if I came up and kind of fluffed his hair and distracted him, then that would be using it as a distraction. So there's many different distractions you can use, but just remember to increase them incrementally. So don't give all the distractions all at once. So a minute ago, he couldn't stand me going behind him. He had to turn around and follow me wherever I was going. But now, as you can see there, he allowed me to go behind him. So if you saw, I went right behind him, and that's an intense distraction for him. So now we're just working on some obedience. So if you see, I do give a leash pop every time he does stand up, which is pretty frequent for this dog compared to other dogs. Other dogs, you might just need to give a couple of little leash pops. This dog is a little bit more stubborn, so he does require, it's requiring quite a bit more time than normal. So every time you see me give him a leash pop, it's because he broke command. And we don't want him to break command all the time. We want to increase those distractions, duration, and distance incrementally so that we're not giving him corrections all the time. So every single time. So we want to increase those distractions incrementally so that he can get used to it over time. Usually dogs will get used to it a lot faster than this dog, and they only need a couple of corrections in order to realize that they need to sit until I release them. But this dog, like I said, he's very antsy and he wants to get up out of his seat and run around. So thus we're increasing our distractions a lot more incrementally, as well as we are giving more corrections. But I would say it's about a 1-to-3 ratio, where you want to be correcting 1 out of every 3 times, and you want the dog to be succeeding so you want to only give a correction 1 out of 3 times that you do the behavior. So that kind of gives you an idea how much you should be correcting and how much you should be allowing the dog to succeed. So then I'm breaking the dog right there. So that time he actually did succeed because I didn't stress him out too much. I didn't give him too much distance, durations, or distractions. So like I said, I'm increasing those incrementally. So now you can see that he's actually doing quite a bit better, and I can actually get quite far from him without him breaking, except right there. So he is doing quite a bit better, but like I said, he's a very antsy dog, so it's going to take some time and several different training sessions for him to completely get this. So because he is tired, I'm actually going to move on in just a second. I'm going to move on to doing the down. So I like to teach the down after a couple of days, so the dog's actually in boarding for about 3 days before I teach down, so that they can get comfortable with the environment before we teach the down. The down is a very submissive position for your dog to be in, and so I usually like to teach it not at first, but after a little while. Liam here is getting a little bit tired, and he's doing really well, so you're seeing that I'm walking all the way around him a couple of times, and he's not breaking. So he's finally understanding the concept of you have to sit until I say break. And it's not that he was unintelligent, he's actually a very smart dog, he just wants to get up and run around. So we just have to give our dog barriers and boundaries and rules and limitations, and this actually helps your dog become calmer overall. So you see his demeanor is actually a little bit more calm after he's learning that he needs to stay. Okay, so right here I'm teaching the down. So to teach the down, you put the leash underneath your foot, you have him sit, and then you put the leash underneath your foot, and you use your foot as kind of a lever to slowly give the dog downward pressure. So you also saw that I actually also gave him some guidance with my hand. So you wouldn't want to do that if the dog is aggressive, because then your face would be right in their face. But if your dog is safe, you could actually give some guidance with your hand. So that's what I was doing, is trying to lure him to the ground with my hand as kind of a guide. So now he's just being silly. I'm going to let him be silly for a minute, and then we're going to get back to it. So like I said, with the down, I like to do it when the dog's a little bit tired, because then they're actually more likely to go down easily. So he just wants to play around right now. But you'll see he starts getting it in just a little while. So now I'm still luring with the hand as well as the motion with my foot. Eventually I won't do the motion with my hand. I'll just do the voice command and the foot, and then just the voice command. So I'm going to fast forward it here in just a minute so it can go a little bit faster. So it's just repetition, right? So it's over and over again, allowing the dog to succeed and fail and succeed and fail. You'll notice that he's actually really antsy, so it's going to take some time. He's not going to get it all just in this session. He's not going to be perfect, but at least he will be sort of getting the idea of it. Does that make sense? And then over the next couple sessions, he actually did much better, and just increased his ability to be down for a long period of time, quite significantly. So he's actually doing really well right now with that duration work. But this is the beginning, so this is what we call the messy middle, where it just looks really bad. And that's why I kind of want to show you guys this, so that you guys don't get down about how your dog looks, because all dogs look this way, especially if they have anxiety. This dog has really bad anxiety. You'll see him panting. It's pretty cool outside. It's not that hot, and he is panting. Maybe he's a little bit hot, but also a big part of it is that he has a lot of anxiety. He has a lot of he's worried about everything in the environment. So you'll notice that in the next video as well. So right now I'm just doing the down, and every time he gets back up without me giving him permission, I just give him a little bit of a leash pop or downward pressure. So at the very beginning, I'm not giving him a leash pop. I'm actually just guiding him back to the ground and saying no, and then guiding him back to the ground. So it's not a leash pop at first because he's just learning, and then pretty quickly we start doing some small leash pops when he's breaking command. So right now he's just learning to stay down, and that's why he's popping up so much. This is a new concept to him. He's never been required to lay down and stay down before. So this is a new idea for him. And it's a new idea for many dogs to not have a command to stay, but rather to have to stay until released. But all dogs are capable of this. And most dogs can usually stay in a down stay for 3 hours the first day that they learn it. So it's pretty impressive what dogs are capable of. So later that night, we'd actually, while we were just hanging out that evening, he'll be in a down stay at our feet. So the distance won't be that great, but he'll be in a down stay at our feet for at least a couple hours. So we've moved over to the shade, and he's doing really well, but he's about done, so we're actually going to end this video so that he can go take a nap.